Hey, deserving listeners, sister wives, let's continue watching and see what happens.
Did Cody make it apparent that Robin was the favorite?
So I felt it.
Okay.
I felt like it was apparent. And to me, it was very apparent from the beginning, because I'm not blind and I'm also not stupid. But that doesn't make Robin the scapegoat. It means I think they found each other and they found soulmates in each other. And I saw it.
Wow. All I can say is wow. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't putting it that way, but I was wondering if that was the case. And Christine has been out of the family for a while now, so she has been recovering from it and is having a clearer, more objective perspective, maybe. She is talking as if that might be true. And she's both saying, yeah, Cody had a favorite right from the beginning. It was obvious because I'm not blind and I'm not stupid, she said. That doesn't make Robin a scapegoat, and maybe also it doesn't make Robin a bad person. It doesn't make Cody a bad person. It just means that they are soulmates, or they had a connection that we never had, with us, or that we lost or something. But yeah, I mean, that's been my guess. And of course, none of us can know. Even Cody and Robin wouldn't know the scientific answer because it's all memory and bias and all that kind of stuff. But I think I've been saying that from the beginning. Now, the principles of polygamy in this religious group is that it doesn't matter. You're still supposed to, as the husband, value and love everybody. By the way, so this is the third episode of what I'm calling the tell-all, because that's from 90 Day Fiancé, but they call it like the one-on-one end of season episodes. But anyway, and I like the format of this, and I like the interviewer. She asks really good questions. I've been saying this before, but I'm guessing a good portion of the audience hates her because they always hate all the co-hosts, But and I'm usually positive or neutral about the hosts because it's a hard job and they're edited and they're being told what to do and say by the production to some extent. Anyway, plus a lot of the audience is really hoping that the host will just blast the cast members that the public wants to be blasted, as if it's their job to do that. The host is supposed to just like berate Cody and Robin or something. And, I think that's a little silly. Anyway, so now sometimes I will watch Love is Blind reunion or something, and I will have wished that they would have asked more questions to Micah, for example. But I wouldn't fault the hosts, or certainly wouldn't hate them. And I don't envy that position. I don't envy that job. If I were to do it, I would, I'm sure, screw it up royally. It's nerve-wracking. You're on stage, da-da-da. Anyway, so for her, she's been asking, so this is the third episode, and I just want to review some of the things. I haven't been reacting to it on screen, but Mary is saying that she is in it to win it, and she's willing to reconnect with Cody. So she's been in that state for, I think, a number of years so far. Janelle seems like she's content-ish, maybe a little less content than the last time we heard from her talking, maybe last season or something. But she's still in it to win it. And there's a fair amount of disclosure for the first time from Mary and Christine and Janelle about the beginning of the family. And we had heard hints of this before, but it sounded way worse than I even imagined. And who knows, it's them looking back from their current perspective, which has a lot of riffs in it. But according to all of them, in the beginning, there was Mary, and Cody, I don't know if I showed this bit, but Cody, again, it's hard to know what is reality, and they wouldn't necessarily know because they're in a particular emotional hurt place or scared place or something, and it's affecting how they recall memories. But according to Cody, he basically is framing it as if he felt obligated to marry them. And also he asked the women if they were going to be loyal and they were going to defer to, there's some sort of religious phrase that he uses, which basically means that they agree that he is in full power and control, and that if he says something, even if the sister wives don't want to do it, they have to do it. And there was that. But then when the host asked the sister wives, did you agree to that? They will say, yeah. But at the same time, I had a lot of independence, and I wasn't going to just hand over all of my power. I'm an independent person. It's kind of weird. It's this weird paradox dichotomy in that, in some ways, compared to monogamous mainstream American relationships, heterosexual relationships, of course, the women have less power because of obvious reasons, not only just the stated hierarchy, the patriarchy in this traditional gender following religious group, but also because of the polygamy, right? But at the same time, they also inherently, and might be attracted to this, as they're having more independence in some ways than more mainstream married women, because if there's 4 wives, for 3/4 of your life, your husband just isn't there, and you have 3/4 of your life to do whatever you want. You parent how you want to. You spend your money how you want to, because that's another thing, that their individual possessions, I think, to some extent, are theirs. They're under their name, right? They're not. It's not all under his name. And in some ways, he doesn't have an actual home because he is moving from home to home of his wives. And I understand that at least a fair percentage of polygamous families do live in different houses. I think the ideal is to all live in one house. But anyway, so there was talk about that, but Mary was the first, and then Janelle entered, and Janelle and Mary both say that they were fighting a lot. And Janelle was saying that Mary is very or Christine was saying that Mary is confrontational and very blunt, which is interesting. Everyone is complicated, and that is a different presentation than I think what we see on camera, and a different idea of how I see Mary. But I believe it. I don't disbelieve it. And it just adds to the enigma that is all these individuals, of course, past the surface, and especially past my own idea of each of these individuals, there's a lot more depth. And so it sounds like Mary, in that depth, has some domineering aspects to her. It makes me wonder if Mary, on paper, agreed to polygamy, but actually didn't want it and was actively, unconsciously or consciously trying to get rid of Janelle, or punish Janelle, or jealous of, or I don't know. Wouldn't be far from reason, or it wouldn't be, it's not beyond the possibilities, right? We could see that happening. And then when Christine entered the family, I know Cody said this, but others would say it as well, that Christine kind of balanced everything out because Janelle and Mary were at each other's throats about everything. I mean, Janelle would say they were fighting literally about everything, about where to put, they didn't say this, I don't think, but small things like which drawer or which shelf in the fridge would you put the pickles? So it sounds like it was a lot of conflict. And then when Christine entered the family, it sort of alleviated that conflict, maybe because there was just an outside person observing, and so Mary and Janelle just kind of shut down, or tried not to look like the aggressor or something. But then Christine felt, and then there was a lot of fighting there. And then I can't remember which of the adults said that there was a lot of tension. And then when they started having young kids, that's when they were distracted by that. And then they gelled as a family enough. So in lieu of what Christine is saying right now, it all kind of fits that none of them were soulmates, and it makes sense, right? Because the way that they talk about the engagement is that there's the woman approaches the guy, and then there's this, okay, now we're going to court, and they can't kiss until they're married. From my memory, I think that was true, that they wouldn't. And so they are not getting to know each other, and then they get married really quick, right? So what's the chance that they're just going to throw a dart at a dartboard with a blindfold on, and they're going to get a bullseye? I mean, it's hard enough to find your soulmate when you're dating in the mainstream American way, which is to, date a lot of different individuals and have a lot of ups and downs and have some trial periods with a number of people, maybe date a handful of people for 2 or 3 years before you're like, yeah, this isn't working. And then after all that, you find the right person, right? Like, what's the chance that, and that process, although way more contact, you might live with some people, you're definitely spending a lot more time with them. And it's hard to find your soulmate. And imagine that. That's like, it's like extremely unlikely, especially 3. When you think about it, like, it's hard for people to find one soulmate. Imagine just randomly rolling the dice and finding 4. It's just not likely. And that all of those individuals are not only soulmates with Cody, but also soulmates with each other, which is essentially that not only that, because they're planning on living together for eternity, for infinity on another planet. So, okay. So what Christine is saying makes sense. Another thing that they were talking about was that Mary, maybe Janelle, was saying that there have been favorites over the years. I think, before Robin entered, Mary is saying that Cody would phase in and out of having favorites among the first 3. So that was interesting. And then Janelle and Christine both said that Mary was aggressive, quote unquote, and critical about everything. Cody emphasizes how much the sister wives were fighting throughout the marriage, and they talk shit about each other to him. So there's talk about that. But is that all I want to talk about? Yeah. There was just a fair amount of interesting disclosures, but things that we've already learned, so it's just sort of expanding on it. But this is Christine. It's interesting. Christine has this rare perspective, right? Because she was on the inside, but now she's gone. So she's the one person who might actually have, and she's a truth teller. She's authentic seeming. So maybe maybe my questions will finally be answered. I mean, we finally have here, and it's commendable that Christine is framing it this way, right? It's sympathetic to Robin and to Cody, the way she's framing it, which is very commendable. There's been a lot of fighting. Christine has a lot of reason to not be sympathetic to Robin and Cody, and she's being that way. So, taking the high road, that's good. I want to take a quick break to tell you about something that's actually really important to me. My wife and I, Stacy and I, we have been using this phone app that is made for couples. It's called the Paired app. We've been using it for the past 3 years now. And if you sign up, please use the link below because I want this sponsor to become a long-term sponsor. I highly recommend the Paired app for any couple at any stage of relationship. Every day, you get a daily question or a game you can play, and you can't see your partner's answers until you answer yourself. And there are questions and games about everything, from communication to intimacy, parenting, money, finance, etc. There are serious questions, like I remember one time Stacy told me that she wished that I would speak up more and not stuff my feelings, and that really stuck out to me. That was a long time ago. I still remember it. And I don't know if we would have talked about that so explicitly otherwise. And there are also lighter questions. Like I remember there was a recent question that asked which one of you would be more likely to suggest watching a rom-com on a date night, that sort of thing. So click my link below to get a 7-day free trial and 25% off paired premium to deepen your connection with your partner. I highly recommend. Do it.
Found each other and they found soulmates in each other. And I saw it.
Did that make you jealous?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what she was saying from the beginning. From the very beginning, she, in the rare moments through all the early episodes, it's funny to remember those early seasons because it was mostly fun family stuff and then the occasional tense moment as they're on a road trip or something, and it would be pretty mild compared to what we're seeing. And now it's just every episode is, conflict, typical reality TV kind of stuff. And I think it's real. Anyway, so way back then, she was talking about how she was jealous and she was having a hard time with it. And at the time, I think I was framing it as that it's just the normal thing that happens. And I think I must have been hypothesizing that maybe since Robin is, I remember talking about new relationship energy and all this stuff, and that, for Christine, it would be harder. So, yeah, it's all coming together, right?
Did that make you jealous?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah, I didn't know what a soulmate looked like before that, not really. Like, I didn't know that there could be more in a marriage.
Wow. Yeah. 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 Right. Yeah. Imagine for Janelle and Mary, it's the same. They all met, including, and probably Cody didn't know, all four of them. It's possible that all four of them didn't know there could be more and were in a constant state of being deprived of what could arguably be a basic human need for a soulmate, for real closeness and real connection and real vibing with someone. And according to Christine, who is an interested party in this, but was very close to it and is now has enough distance. And maybe Christine is actually dating and maybe having those kind of feelings. I don't know. But yeah, that's really wise. She's like, I didn't know, and maybe none of the first four did. And then all of a sudden Robin comes in, and for whatever reason, Cody and Robin clicked. And, I could even imagine that Robin was different in some maybe good and bad ways, but that opened this door. Anyway, for whatever reason, Cody and Robin, according to Christine, really, they had that more. And they had that connection. And for Christine, she's looking at it and thinking, wait, there's more? I want that more. I've never had that more. I never saw him have that more with the other two. I've never experienced it myself. There can be more. I want that. That's upsetting. So she probably went on a campaign to try to have that, right? Like, okay, well, how can I have that? And that makes total sense. Can you imagine just watching that so close to you with the guy that you thought you had more, but it's like, no, I didn't have more. I now see more. I want more. And you're trying to get that with him, and then how frustrating it could be. And you could start to think there's something wrong with me. He's choosing to shut me out. She's not saying that now. She's just saying, look, it's just circumstance. They were soulmates. It's not their fault. And it's not my fault that me and Cody were not soulmates. It's not Cody's fault. It's not my fault. It's great. I think that's what she's saying. All right. Well, let's adjourn there. Everyone out there, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.